All right, I'd like to invite everyone to stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Hi, John, how you doing?
Welcome. We got a great crowd in here today, and I'd like to welcome our councilman, Bill Cows. Glad to see you.
Glad to see you. Glad to be seen.
Better to be seen than you. Very good. Got a great crowd out here today. All right, let's have something great on the agenda here today, huh? All right, the minutes of January 19th. We have a motion to approve the minutes.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? I was not here for the meeting, so I will not vote on the minutes. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Financial report and payment of the bills. We have a motion to approve the financial report and payment of the bill.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion on this at all? Gene, I did see your emails go through about the financial report,
Oh,
and it was satisfactory?
oh, absolutely.
Very good.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. All right, this is probably one of the most enjoyable times we have. We get to swear in a few new police officers today. Love this. Chief, would you like to come up?
Absolutely.
Give us a little bit of information on this.
Absolutely. I'll take my mask off if you don't mind, so you can hear me. So I'd like to ask Officer Jeffrey Chandler, actually Officer First Class Jeffrey Chandler, to come forward and talk a little bit about him. Officer First Class Chandler was born in Delaware County, Pennsylvania, and he graduated from Avonburg High School. He attended Delaware Community College, graduating with an Act 120 certificate for police training. He was certified originally in Pennsylvania. He attended the Community College of Baltimore County and graduated with a certificate in correctional training. Prior to coming to the police department in December of 2018, he's been with us for 3 years now. Boy, he's got striking children. Prior to coming to us, he worked several different places, including the Sioux County Sheriff's Department for a couple of years. He has completed the entrance level training at the Harper County Sheriff's Office, graduated in August of 2019. He finished field training. He's been working in our patrol division ever since. They were mitigating issues and trying to get him here to get sworn in and introduced to you guys. And when it was first brought to our attention that this had never happened, we just had a lot of other issues with COVID and some other things going on. So it's been difficult to get it scheduled, but we are happy to have him on our team. And we're happy that we're able to do this for you. Jeff lives with his wife Emily in Oxford now with their children. So, but he's been great. He's been awesome. He works on Sergeant Jockey's squad and been doing a wonderful job for us. So I'm happy to finally introduce him to you guys.
Very good. He's already been sworn in?
He has. Well, they all get sworn in through the academies, but we will do that again today
Okay,
here
very
and have a swearing in. I'd now like to ask Officer Justin Farron to come forward and join us. Officer Farron was born in Newark, Delaware, graduated from Delaware Academy of Public Safety and Security in his quest to fulfill his dream of becoming a police officer. Prior to coming to the Elkton Police Department, he was employed as a correctional officer at the Sioux County Sheriff's Department Detention Center. He successfully completed the entrance level training at Baltimore County Police Training Academy and just graduated in December of 2021. He's currently in our field training program, working under the direction of our field training supervisor, Corporal Todd Finch. He does reside in Cecil County. We are happy to have him. He's most recent report is he's doing really well in field training, so we're hoping that he'll be out and released on independent patrol within the next few weeks. So I'd like to introduce him to you as well.
Fantastic.
We do have oath of office if you'd like to.
Very good. I'd love to.
And then we will all sign.
Listen, you guys are part of the greatest police department in the country right now, so glad to have you on board.
Thank you.
So I'm going to say aye, then I'm going to say state your name. Both of you guys state your name at the same time. That would be great, and then I'll make it in little short paragraphs and sentences, and repeat after me if you wouldn't mind. I state your name.
Jeffrey Chandler.
Joseph Barry.
Do swear and affirm
Do
do swear and affirm
that I support the Constitution of the United States,
that I support the Constitution of the United States,
that I will be faithful,
that I will be faithful,
bear true allegiance
bear true allegiance
to the state of Maryland,
to the state of Maryland,
and support the Constitution and laws
support the Constitution and laws
thereof,
thereof,
and that I will,
and that I will,
to the best of my skill and judgment,
to the best of my skill and judgment,
diligently and faithfully,
diligently and faithfully,
without partiality or prejudice,
without partiality or prejudice,
execute the office
execute the office
of police officer
of police officer
according to the Constitution and laws of the state.
according to the Constitution and laws of the state.
Glad to have you guys on board.
February 2nd, 2022.
That's a pretty good day, right?
2/2/22?
Yeah.
Especially when you're that one is, yeah. Thank you. Thank you.
Fantastic, thank you guys.
Yes, work one word first.
Thank you.
I'm not a hungry like that, so.
Okay. Lou, do you have anything to report today?
Two things I want to comment on. One is that we've released the project for well number 4. And these are the plans that we have available for prospective bidders. That we sell the plans for $100. If the bidder wants something a little more, believe it or not, a little more easy to carry around, they can get all these plans on a little flash drive for
Nice.
$50. We recommend that they use a flash drive as a means to transport all this information very conveniently. The other item I have is KCI has prepared a boundary map for the town of Elkton, an updated map. And we utilize this when we do the TIF, the tax increment financing resolution. I'm going to probably do that in the second meeting or the third meeting, regular meeting of the town, because I need the certified assessment from the Maryland Department of Assessments and Taxation as our base, property assessment. Once I have that, I'll have the two critical elements for the resolution, and I'll present that to the board. That's the two items I wanted to mention this morning.
Fantastic.
And whatever.
That's all we got cooking today?
I'm sorry?
Is that all? That it?
Yeah, that's the two high things I wanted to make sure you knew was coming up.
Very good. All right, very good. I have a couple things on the agenda. The very first one, I wanted to mention that on the mayor and commissioner schedule of 2022 meeting schedule, the June 15th meeting would be when this board or whoever's elected board would be at the Maryland Municipal League Conference. So I went ahead and asked Michelle to postpone or actually just get rid of that June 15th meeting, but we'll still be meeting on June 1st and June 8th that month for business. So we're certainly 100% over our requirement of meetings for the town of Elkton. So I just wanted to make the board aware that we're taking care of that immediately. Chief, how many officers are we still short at this point?
We are still 7 short.
7 officers short. Okay. One thing that the chief had sent to me, I believe, did you send it to the whole board? I believe the whole board received the pay scale structure change?
I did not, I sent that directly
So
to just
directly to
you
me?
and the town administrator and the HR director.
Lou, do you know if our HR director reviewed it, or did you get the chance to review that, or?
Well, I saw what Carolyn had sent, but I don't know. Andy Rodriguez is on here when Elkton saw it.
The pay scale, currently the town of Elkton, with the police department, has a pay scale of X amount of levels, and to be competitive in the workforce at today's, to be competitive with the county, to be competitive with Newcastle County, to be competitive with Hartford County and all the other municipalities, I believe, and I believe the chief believes, that we need to eliminate the first 4 levels of the pay scale. So what does that do? It would actually start the police officer out at level 4 instead of level 1, which level 5. Do you have that in front of you so you can you tell us the?
I do not, but I know it's just over $48,000.
So the starting pay would go up to about $48,000. And then, of course, our existing officers that are in the plan, if there was an officer that was on level 2 right now, he would automatically probably go to level 7? Or how would that?
Yeah,
He
it
would
just
go up
moved the
accordingly.
whole scale straight up.
So there's no compression in the system?
It just extended it out.
I loved it. I think that it's something that we need to move forward with. You know, once again, it always comes down to funding. How can we fund these? But, you know, we just stated, we're 7 officers short. It's not that we're not trying. We're just not competitive enough to make this happen. Once again, we'd have to do a budget amendment to move forward. Lou, can we use any of the ARPA funds to fund this at all?
I think so.
Okay, very good. So I would say to you, and I would ask the board to support this, that we move forward with this immediately.
Well, I agree with you, but I want to see something written before
Okay.
we move forward. And secondly, you asked Louis about this ARPA fund. I'm still not sure, or I'm not going to say I'm confused, because I'm not exactly what ranges or what sources come under this ARPA fund. I mean, granted, I know we want to help the police department. You just gave Louis a question. He answered yes, but, you know, a lot of things we're still not sure of.
One of the things under ARPA, one of the qualifications for government is they can take a standard allowance, which they can use all up to $10 million. We only have $7 million initially, and we first thought up to that $10 million limit for government services. That means anything essentially in our general fund that we support in operations. So police is one of the things that's in governmental services.
Well, you know, it would be nice if you could give us some examples, so when we walk in there, we don't feel naive, because, you know, I sit and watch TV, and just heard recently, the city of Baltimore is using some of those funds to do, I forget what it is. And so I'm saying there's a range of things that you can do with it, but we need to know what the ranges are. You just can't come in there or we couldn't come, or we could ask you about something and you can give us an answer. But in order for us to help our community where we serve, we need to know what's what. So is it possible that you can give us the ranges and what might fall under that?
Absolutely. I thought sure that was sent out, but
It might have been sent out, don't get me wrong. I just want to know some specifics.
sure.
And I know you handle it, so appreciate if you could do that.
Sure, okay.
Thank you much, sir.
Yeah, it's been an ongoing seminar after seminar, and now there's actually a little group that your municipality can call into and ask specific questions. Now, this all came about probably within the last 10 days. So it's been fairly new. It hasn't probably happened, probably started about at the last meeting. But they've had these ongoing seminars, and they're trying to answer the specific questions. I mean, a specific question we asked is, One was, how can we get funding to the police or the fire department,
Right,
right?
and that's the reason why I brought that question
Yeah,
up.
and they have, I think we do have some answers. We're getting answers every day as we do this. So I guess so that the board feels a little bit more comfortable collectively, we need to get that, I think the board, I think we all feel extremely comfortable in moving forward with it. But let's send over that scale today so that the board can see exactly what those numbers are.
I have no problem with it, but I
So
understand.
ARPA would fund the initial adjustment, right?
We could put in how much money into the fund, Lou, to fund this for, and for how long?
We would, yeah, that would be important because at some point the taxes are gonna have to fund it. So what are we gonna, how does that affect us?
One of the things the board has to consider is that ARPA funds will be finite. In other words, any public improvement, capital improvement is easy
Right.
because that'll last for many, many years. But operational expenses are ongoing and will recur. So when you give out raises, as we suggested in this thing, you may be able to qualify, matter of fact, you will qualify to utilize that for police. But once ARPA is gone, that cost will continue, and they'll need to have a revenue source in order to support that. And we all know what that revenue source might
That's
be.
right, that's exactly my point, so I just want to know, maybe in a word or of numbers, what does that equate to?
Thank you, Ralph.
Yeah, so I guess I'd like to ask to get it to the board, and that was probably my failure to get it to you guys, but I didn't hear the correct word, that we could use that money until we just all heard it right here today.
So would we have to vote on this for?
Lou, is this something that we have to vote on, or can we just send you a note?
Well,
It has
I
to be,
believe that the board, my decision to the limit of my authority is to accept the standard allowance. In other words, to utilize up to the amount that we've received so far for general, as a general allowance, rather than a computed one. That allows us to utilize that money for general government services. That's the only logical thing I could think of to do with that money available to us. We'd still utilize that money for water and sewer. because we're
Yes.
going to do that too, which is an eligible project.
okay.
But it'll allow us some latitude and flexibility to utilize it for expenses in the general fund.
So I know absolutely it's gonna cost us several $100,000 to make this jump.
I do believe in my original presentation, it was just over 500,000, but that was for an entire 12-month period, and now we're already, 5 months out in this current one. You might even be able to, I mean, I'm not the financial guru, but with those 7 vacancies, it might even be able to cover us through the new budget. But I do have Tracy, she's making copies. I'm sorry I didn't bring those with me.
So Lou, you're saying under your authority, you could make this happen? Is that
Well,
what
the
you
board
were
is granting the authority, presumption is there.
I would say we'll take a look at it, but I think we can make it move without truly a vote. Do you guys agree with that?
Well, the board will have to vote on an expense. If we give X bucks out to the fire company, for example, you'll have to vote on that. Because giving money to the fire company, it depends on whether they're a beneficiary or a subrecipient. If they're a subrecipient for that money, then we have to have a monitoring process in place in order to monitor how that fire company spends that money. So it's a little more complicated.
Is this the new scale or
This
the?
would be, this is the proposed new scale.
Okay, so what you're seeing here is it eliminated the first 4 levels of the current plan,
Yes.
and it basically created 4 new levels on the backside.
Right.
So where our starting pay for an EPD officer is, as it currently is today, is,
$43,000, $20.83.
and so now we would be changing it to $23.46 as a starting officer, and each grade has been changed also so that there's no compression in the system.
So,
And Mayor, this is Andy Rodriguez. I did have a chance to review this, and it's a very reasonable proposal.
Thank you, Andy. Thank you for that.
It does leave us with a couple of big questions and possible problems. You all know that I'm all for giving the police officers more money, and I'm behind this 100%. I am a little worried about what happens when the ARPA money runs out and how we continue to pay them. I'm also a little concerned about the new pay scale, which would be a great thing, enticing 7 more officers to join the force. I'm going to pay them too.
That is correct.
well, right now you have that figured in, don't you? Because you said without them being hired, that gives us a little bit of leeway or reduction in what we would have to, you know.
Well, that's true, but my hope would be to fill those vacancies.
Okay.
I mean, that would be my hope. We're down to 38 right now, which is the exact same number of officers that we had when I started tracking in 2009.
And the board has to consider the Southfields projects that are sports fields and the whole works. You're going to have, as that develops over time, you're going to have an enormously amount of growth in this town.
Yes.
That the existing number of officers probably will not be able to address effectively. So you're going to need a bigger, of course you'll have more assessments also to support that. So, I mean, it's not like all or none.
Lou, do you think that the ARPA funding will carry us until we start seeing revenue from this project?
I can't answer that question because I don't know how the assessments will occur over time, because it depends on how many properties are developed to the extent of what they're assessed and how much time it will take. If it takes them 10 years to build this project out, ARPA won't cover it, of course. And I'm not sure how quickly in an environment we have today, the economic environment, with the cost of everything increasing, you know, the probability of these developers being successful in a build out over a short period of time versus a long period of time. Because everybody's struggling with the cost of things, and I'm sure people who buy all the material to build all this, they're going to be struggling also. So, you know.
But the industrial side will be done much quicker.
Theoretically.
My understanding, and that alone might be able to cover it.
It may. Complicated stuff.
Yeah.
I'd like to move forward with it if we could. If you guys feel comfortable, if you don't feel comfortable, we'll wait a little time. If you feel
I think we need to
comfortable.
find a way.
I think that's what it's coming down to. I think we just got to make it work, and we need to get officers back on the streets. I mean, we're short right now, and I think we just got to get it done.
I think we could possibly fund it for the rest of the year,
And
if
we-
it happened.
And we'd be able to fund
And put a
it,
reserve.
and we'd be able to fund it next year through the second tranche.
I was saying put a, yeah, like a reserve of some sort for that purpose. That'll carry us through 23. Gives us a lot of time.
And certainly there's going to be a lot of questions, but you also have to understand that we're short. And police department across the country, you've got people retiring. I mean, you've got to have some creativity. How are you going to help the people right here that we have right now and still be attractive to whoever that's not here that might want to come? It's no
I think,
brainer. You got to do
we have
something.
a number of retired
I agree
people
with
on the edge of retirement now.
I currently have, I did the numbers with Andy yesterday, I currently have 11 officers that are right now eligible to retire with 20 or more years on. I have 2 that have to retire, they're finishing their drop time October 31st of this year. And I have 2 others that within the next 2 years will be eligible to retire.
One of the things the board needs to refresh you on is that during the drop program, they've already resigned. And all they're allowed in the drop program to run a maximum of 5 years. At the end of 5 years, they're gone. It's not a matter of, okay, can we change our mind now, not withdraw it. But the officers, she's talking about the remaining officers that aren't in drop, they can opt out 20 years or go as long as they want till Carolyn gets, says they're no longer valuable. And that's,
And you know, you're bringing up a couple good points here, from the standpoint that if we were to lose the 11 additional officers, we certainly know that they're at a higher scale. Right? I mean, we're losing a lot of
The
experience.
two that are leaving absolutely are. There are at least 3 others in the drop program that have to leave in, I believe it's June of 2024. And yeah, most of those have rank corporal, a couple sergeants, and a lieutenant.
Mhm.
So they absolutely are maxed out at the scale and have some tenure there. So experience.
We're going to lose
invaluable.
experience. It is.
Oh,
We're
yeah.
gonna-
But that's why it's so important that I bring people in now, so that I have
Yes.
some kind of opportunity to start, just at least being able to start grooming some of those other ones I have a little bit of time on, so that we're prepared as best we can be.
Well, listen, I'd like to make a motion, we move forward with this pay scale.
I'll second that.
We got a second, any discussion on this at all? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries,
Thank
let's
you
get
all.
moving.
Thank you all very much.
Okay, so one down, pay scale. Let's talk about the fire department real quick. I know that there's been some ongoing discussions. I know that Singerly brought a lost, dollars lost due to COVID to the board, and it was well over $5 million in losses. But I think that, I'm not going to speak for anyone in the fire department here, but I believe that was to give us an example of all the different areas that they're hurting in. And you know, our position, we can't succeed in this town if our public safety is failing. And I believe, and we kind of discussed this a little bit, is how can we gather the numbers we're showing, many millions, but we can only do what we can afford. And I think Jean kind of put what her kind of number was, and I felt very similar. And the question comes out to, do we want to help them with equipment, or is there a way that we can help them with a financial contribution? So, John, I know you and Lewis had looked into this, and help me understand, because they're an entity that isn't really under our arm, per se.
Right, it gets a little bit different when it's not part of the town government.
Mhm.
It is, these issues related to the non-town entities, I think is still evolving. I have some thoughts that I probably should present to you in executive session for advice of counsel. But I think that the Treasury Department is probably going to issue some frequently asked questions to address these kinds of issues with some guidance. And I think that it's going to be relatively soon, I think within the next 30, 45 days. And my suggestion, without going into a lot of detail that I think should be talked about in executive session, but is don't say no, but just don't do anything until we have further clarification. There is indication thus far that these funds are available for use, and the question becomes exactly how, and then my recommendations on perhaps other ways to accomplish what we determine is appropriate. So I think certainly I'm encouraged that there's some things that we're going to be able to do, but my suggestion would be to hold off until we get the Treasury, further Treasury guidelines. And it's not going to be a long time, I don't think.
Did you want to explain that to us a little bit better in a closed session today, or would you?
We could do it the next one. I mean, we're not going to have any guidance at this point for probably a month.
Okay,
So there isn't any urgency to do it today.
okay. Is the board okay with that? I mean, I don't know. I mean, I think everyone we've talked about it here, we want to figure out how we can help them.
Yeah, I understand, and I think the risk is, if you part of my furniture. If you screw it up, you may have to pay it back.
You can't really want to do that.
Right?
No.
So let's do it right.
Okay. Very good, that'll be our answer. I have to listen to my counsel.
Does the county have any?
I don't know, I get mixed,
Experience in this?
every
Bill?
time we get mixed, I don't, I could ask Bill that question, but I don't think that you guys really, have you gotten any information on your ARPA funding to your level?
There have been guidelines that have been issued. We've been, I should have brought them with me at the time. I don't know, would have. I can forward to you what we've received, and they are guidelines.
I
Yeah,
think we've
and
already
we
received
have
the
all
same.
And we received the same guidelines, and I did see where the county just bought an ambulance for, but that was a county-owned
It's county-owned
ambulance.
ambulance going into the southern part of the county. CARES money,
Yeah,
not ARPA. It is a different set of guidelines for ARPA. CARES expired at the end of last month,
Yeah.
after it was extended for a 12-month period. But different guidelines for ARPA for sure. But everything that we have seen indicated would not prohibit use of that type.
I think that's what we're getting. The last seminar, which was about 7 or 10 days ago, actually opened up.
Yeah.
It helped clarify a lot of these questions, because it's not just the town of Elkton asking questions about how we can help, whether it's the Singerly Fire Company or the Elkton VFW or the Elkton Little League. They're all asking the same questions, and they're doing their best to get clarification. Is that correct in what I'm saying there?
Yes.
So you would prefer us to wait, is what you're saying?
In as much as it's not going to be a year from now, it's going to be, I think we'll have clarification within, my sense is probably a month. And, we both Michelle and I attended that seminar, and things are still evolving. I think the answer is, yeah, there are things that we can do. The question is exactly what, and then for the town, how is the best way to do that? Because I think it presents a town with some options that you might want to consider before making that commitment.
Okay.
It'd be a lot simpler if we owned the fire company.
Oh, wait a second here.
Actually, you used to own the fire company.
We did it one time, yeah.
But
I think
We don't want to own that fire company again. You
Yeah,
guys do a great job.
The overall look at it is the ARPA funds are far less restricted, is what it comes down to. CARES funding was far more designated, far more restricted, whereas ARPA, they kind of opened that up quite a bit. The definitions are fairly broad, and I guess just a matter of just being less restricted. I think it's what John's saying also.
I think one of the challenges that we have, and I think ARPA in the state of Maryland has had a few little issues with this also. It's federal funding. And under our guidelines that we follow, and we've always followed, is that there's an auditing process for any collective dollars over $750,000. If I'm saying something wrong, tell me I'm wrong here.
That requires single audit.
Single audit for anything. Now, ARPA,
Expenditure,
on the other hand, if you read through all those things, is actually kind of in direct conflict with its own language that we fool with, because it says anything under $1 million, there's basically no auditing process. That's easy for us to say, but when we just went through our auditing process with our auditors, and we just saw that, they say, no. You are going to be single audited for $750,000 collected.
Well, the $750,000 doesn't have to be ARPA only, it could be any
federal.
CDBG, any type of federal funding received. Once you exceed $750,000, you're subject to a single audit. And in our case, Clifton Larson Allen would be the auditor for that.
Yeah, so that was just a little additional mix. Sam, you had a comment or a question?
Yeah, one of the reasons that we gave the town the list of items that we did was the $5 million worth of items, was we were very much aware of the $750,000 number and the $1 million number. And by having those different categories, the way we read the guidelines is you can give individual grants by category, none of which would be over $750,000. and then that way you wouldn't have to do the audits.
No, that's incorrect. Any expenditure of $750,000 by our government would require a single audit.
See,
That's what I'm saying, they'd be individual line items.
Yeah, I think I follow both of you, but what we, like if we got a grant for the historic Elk Landing property and it was $125,000, that gets added onto the dollars that we send to Singerly
In the big category.
in the
Okay.
big category. So it throws that, it is in the audit.
Gotcha.
If, it's kind of crazy because we go over it about every year, but I learned that just like in the last 2 days. Am I correct in that, or am I wrong in my thinking of that, how that audit works?
The 750 of federal funds, I'm surprised that Steve,
Hasn't
I don't know
jumped
where
in?
Steve is.
He is
speak
on,
up.
I asked him to unmute himself, he should be hearing you.
Okay, because he would speak up quickly on that.
Well, listen, here he is. Steve, can you give us an update on what that audit actually does at?
The expenditure of $750,000 in federal funds triggers a single audit, okay? That is not any one grant. This cumulative expenditure of $750,000 in federal funds triggers a single audit. Okay, we could not what is received or what is expended in a year. So it doesn't matter if it's a series of expenditures, the different projects that are each less than 750, is what it is in the cumulative total.
The other thing,
Per year,
the
yes.
fire company is independently audited every year anyway, so from being audited is not a scary thing for us.
No, it's not a scary thing, it's just documentation. Well, listen, thank you, Steve. We're going to follow advice of council and just to make sure that we're all on the same page.
And just to clarify if I can, so it's going to be February 16th, that meeting at which the board will go into a closed session regarding this, not the workshop, the February 16th meeting, is that?
Well, I would say if we have an answer prior to
Okay.
next Wednesday, then we will go into work session and we'll bring it out.
Okay,
But if it's not until the following meeting, then we'll do it on the 16th.
okay, that's fine.
But I think, I don't want to say time is of the essence here, but we'd just like to get some clarification as quickly as we can.
I think we've got a pretty heavy agenda next week, don't they?
Yes.
For the workshop, yeah.
Yes.
Pretty extensive agenda.
I'm going to keep everyone here for 4 hours next week.
We might need IV or something for that.
All right. Rob, do you have anything to offer for the good of the town of Elkton?
Oh, I got my roast coming up. Roger Owens' roast. That is, what's the date on that, Rob? 21st?
26.
26th?
Oh, really?
Last Saturday in February. That's
Where?
5 o'clock at the Elkton VFW. Dinner at 5, roast beginning at 6.
It was in your envelope. I think you had an envelope.
Of course, the second annual Team Elkton Fishing Rodeo is coming up in May. We'll talk about that later on in the year here. The Arts Council contacted me. They have an Eagle Scout that needs a project that will benefit the whole community. I have approached the town with building benches around Howard's Pond. I guess we're still looking into that, correct? We need to contact the Corps of Engineers and DNR. If that fails to come to fruition, I do have 2 other projects in the wings, and we'll make something happen with this Eagle Scout. And that's all I have.
Thank you, Rob. Charles? Jean?
The only thing I want to bring up is down the street at the corner of North and High, like in front of Dr. Levine's office, Schultz. They had mentioned to me that there's a lot of cars that either don't stop at that sign or kind of travel through it. So I had the occasion to be there 2 days and actually sit on North Street and watch it. And it's unbelievable. Everybody else seems to stop, but right there, they either, you have cars that stop, and then more cars that roll through the stop sign, and some that just don't even slow down.
You say North and Hygiene?
Right here, yeah, right down here.
Yeah.
I don't know, maybe there's a stop sign there, but what we are missing on that corner is striping. It seems to be at the other three, roads, or the other three portions of that intersection. But if we could get aggressive with it, maybe the word stop or something to really make people realize that they have to come to a stop there. It's pretty bad. It really is.
We did recently have an accident there. I don't know what the cause was, but I could only imagine.
That doesn't
Listening
surprise
to
me.
you that it's probably fair to stop at the stop sign.
I mean,
We can certainly do some enforcement there, and then maybe we can
Oh,
get with Dan
yeah.
and see if there's anything more he can do to.
Yeah, Chief, I think you'd have to be there all day. I sat there for.
Well, I can't guarantee that, but the
I know you
sporadic
can't.
enforcement tends to help too.
Yeah.
And,
Yeah, and a lot of it is, there's quite a bit out of state. They just travel right on through it. I don't know why. I really don't. But to sit there and watch it is quite amazing.
You ought to come hang out in front of my shop and
Like
see the
yours?
action at North and
Okay.
Main.
Well, we definitely
Crazy.
need striping, aggressive striping there.
all right, I'll talk to Dan.
Thank you, I appreciate that.
And even though you're gonna have striping there, it's still gonna be difficult because I saw it the other day. You come up there and you're peripheral vision, but nobody's coming in, nobody's, and you keep going.
Yeah.
I did the same thing when I lived in Philadelphia. I was a tech trick and I used to do what I was
Yeah,
doing
I
here.
guess a lot of people do, but,
Yeah,
To go through the district
anyway,
engineer,
it wouldn't
takes
hurt
around
to have it all.
268.
right, I agree with you.
With ours, you can do anything we want, but.
The only thing else that I had was,
Still do
were we
something,
gonna
but industry.
get an update about Onsworth Manor at some
Maybe.
point, or?
So I can speak on that too, because I
Okay.
wasn't aware of it, but apparently my officers are aware of it, and there's been a couple complaints about animal abuse and some other things going on down there. The problem that we have is, we haven't been able to get anybody to really come forward. There's just kind of been rumors, we hear this, we hear that. And Officer Devine works down there very closely with the whole Hollingsworth Landing Association, and he's got like a first name of somebody who has some information, but we don't have that yet. We also, we got this gray key on a grant, which lets us download some cell phone data. And so as part of another investigation, we did see on one of these, there's a video of somebody abusing an animal. So we're gonna charge, we just have to be able to get that download. So we're on it. We would encourage people to come forward and speak with us, and they can do so anonymously and tell us whatever they know and who's involved.
Right.
Like I said, we had a name of somebody who supposedly buried a bunch of these animals because of it. Supposedly it's happening down along the creek bed, or officers have been down there and they haven't found any evidence there that would lead them to believe it. But I'm sure, there's no doubt it's probably happening. It's just, we haven't been able to do anything with it. He has reached out to the Cecil County Animal Control Services too, to see if they can work with us on that.
No, it's
They're
like
aware of it, I was not until I read that.
Well, it's like I said, I'm sure you were aware,
Yeah, they
PT was aware of it. I just, we know that's a hot spot anyway. But, to just get more bad.
Well, and we did one or two. So a lot of our energies with our proactive units have been redirected out to East Village and some other places, as you saw with the Ensign, right, with all the guns and stuff.
Oh, yeah.
But we did also just, we've seen a 60% reduction in calls out of that area, just so you know. That's been great. But,
That's good.
but, in January, we did do, I think, at least 2 search warrants in Hollingsworth Manor. So we're still trying to keep our thumb on it. It's just, we're stretched thin. I know you guys know that, and I appreciate that and the support. Just know my people, like, I might not always know, like this with the animals, but they are on it. They know, they're very involved.
I believe that wholeheartedly.
Yeah.
And I appreciate it.
And trust me, I'm an animal lover. For dogs myself, I don't want to see any animal getting abused. So we will do whatever we can, and I know there's been a lot of recent legislation with animal abuse and making that tougher, so.
Yeah, I
We're
had no
looking
idea
into
all
it.
that was going on over there until I read that letter the other day.
I didn't know,
That's horrible.
I didn't either.
But, all right, thank you so much.
But if we do get an arrest, I will let you know.
Okay.
We should at least have one based on that video.
Well,
But that phone, that was right before we got the gray key, and we had to take it up to Wilmington, so we're still waiting on the download, but there was a video seen in that.
Very good, thank you. There was one additional thing that I had. Michelle, if you could send out to the board, there was an application for the Ethics Committee. I
Yes.
think there was an opening.
Yes.
I don't believe, I was just looking at, I don't believe the board received the application, but I know the applicant, I know he'll do a good job for us, and I would ask you to send that to the board and take a look at that, and I'd like to get your support at the next town meeting on that, so that'd be great. And it seems like the young fella has a lot of interest of participating on the board, so there's very good. I think we also have an opening on the Board of Appeals also. Now, quite frankly, I'd almost like to steer him toward the Board of Appeals, then so the Ethics Board, but that's something you could bring up to him if you give him a shout. Okay. This is the time of the meeting. We open up the floor for items good for the town of Elkton. Anyone have any comments, questions?
No, I'll just say that I'm happy to hear that you're taking some of these expenditures under consideration with regard to the fire company, and especially our police department. We have a similar issue within the county with our sheriff's department, I guess, becoming and then remaining competitive. Chief knows as well as anyone what it's like to get poached by neighboring jurisdictions, whether they be county, state, or municipalities. It's very difficult. It's difficult to recruit these officers as it is, and then to compete in areas that are difficult makes it that much more challenging. So hats off to you for stepping up and being proactive. It's the only way to actually address this. We're trying to push this issue within the county, and we hate to go in there and compete with you, but we're going to. So.
Well, thank you.
You guys have had an advantage. You have more of our deputies than we have of your police officers. So.
Well, I can say it's in all cases, I absolutely know that we're going to do something for our fire company on a couple different fronts. But we want to make sure that everyone on staff is on board, and that we don't have to pay anything back if we forgot to dot an I.
Due diligence is required. It's to not address that would be less than advisable. So. But yeah, no, it's and in the county we will do the same. We're looking at all of these scenarios with the fire companies as well. You know, public safety has to be the primary objective. So hats off for being proactive in this, and glad to see that you are.
Okay, anyone on the Zoom meeting have anything for the good of the town of Elkton today?
I do. My name's Ashley Stewart. I don't know if you guys can hear me.
Yeah, hi Ashley. Can you spell your last name for us?
I'm sorry.
Can you spell your last name for us for the record?
Sure, it's Booher.
Thank you.
So my husband and I own Off the Ivy Salon, which is formerly the Renaissance Restaurant, if that helps anyone with where that is.
Yes.
So we have, the front part of the building is obviously the salon. We have a hall upstairs above the back banquet hall that is being renovated at this time. We just replaced the hill out back, and we are about a week or two out from installing a new staircase. So where my concern is, and I don't know if you guys can help me or lead me in the right direction, we have a parking lot which is owned by the town out back, and the parking lot is in rough shape. So my concern is that once we get the staircase in out back, we are going to have a 100-person banquet hall open. We're hoping by spring. And I feel as if these people aren't going to know where to park or how to park out there. So obviously this is the, the parking lots that tend to get flooded. So I'm sure, over time, the water and, the weather and all of those things have worn away, blacktop lines, all of that. I'm just worried that it's going to cause a little bit of, I don't know if I want to say chaos or what. So once we start having events and, 50 to 100 people in this hall, and all these cars are gonna be out back, it's just gonna be, I think, a whole mess. So I guess my question is, what can we do to get the parking lot kind of under control?
Ashley, I would say to you, first and foremost, I'm very excited about what you just told us. I mean, the opportunity to have a little banquet facility right in the heart of our town, that's pretty exciting news that we need to get that message out. And I can tell you, and I think I'm feeling with what the board's feeling right here, you're not asking for much. I mean, it's not much for us to do a little work on that back parking lot and paint some stripes out for you. I've got, Dan, are you on the Zoom meeting that you can respond to that for us?
Sure. There you go, pop up. Here I am.
Dan, can you take a look at that back parking lot? And it's probably more of some love and care is probably what it needs more so than anything. And be able to get the stripes out there for them so that people can feel a little more comfortable.
What type of time frame? When are you looking at opening?
This is a whole different.
Like I said, the stairs we're hoping to be installed in the next week or so. At this time period, me and my staff, that's approximately like 10 to 12 girls a day, are parking down there right now. I'm sure you guys may pass by and see, line of cars. We are hoping to, we already have one hall open, which is a 50-person hall. The next hall is going to be a 100-person hall, so we're hoping to have that one done in the next probably, I would say, 3 months.
Yeah, we can address it as long as it's a little warmer. I think we can do something down there. Yes.
Yeah, I mean, whenever you can, I mean, it would help us tremendously, just because, obviously, the street parking is 3 hours, which is perfect, for the salon and everything. But we want to give some, these group of people some kind of direction in where it is that they can park their car safely.
And we can do something. Look at it. Yes.
And
awesome. I appreciate that.
Ashley, we'll even, if maybe there's a way that we could even help with some signage to show people to go up those stairs for you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay,
Yep.
so we'll work as a team on this, but I'm excited for you. I know you're going to do well with
Thank
it,
you.
and it's pretty exciting.
Yes, we're very excited. We are, it's coming. It's been a long road, but we're getting there.
Very nice. Any questions, comments from the board?
This is the parking lot behind the farmer's market, correct?
It's the one closer to the red light.
Where the
You're
old
talking about
stores used to be.
107
Yes.
North Street?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Used to be the town hall a long time ago, and then the county had it, and now.
No, this is the parking lot
The farmer's market.
where Stewart's Ice Cream was and
Yep.
And they had children's hour or
It's the old
something like
children's
that.
hour.
Yeah,
Children's hour.
Yes.
Yep,
that's probably where Mrs. Blankenship had her business.
exactly.
yep.
Well, thank you so much for making us aware of that.
Well, thank you for listening.
Thank you. Anyone else have anything for the good of the town? Hearing none, this meeting's adjourned.